Welcome, gentlemen. The most dangerous minds are not the ones shouting the loudest or waving their intelligence like a flag. They're the ones you cannot predict. When most people hear intelligence, they imagine high grades, big words, or shelves full of books. But the Sigma male's intelligence? That's something else entirely. Quick question before we dive deeper. Have you ever been the one in the room who noticed something everyone else completely missed? If so, you're about to understand why that happens. It isn't about proving he's the smartest in the room. It isn't about dominating the conversation. It's about his ability to notice what everyone else misses, to see the hidden patterns, read between the lines, and quietly stay 3 steps ahead without ever announcing his plan. And that is what makes it so unsettling. Because when people can't predict you, they can't control you, and that scares them more than they'll ever admit. Maybe you've always felt different from the people around you. You don't blend in easily. You prefer to observe before you act. That's not weakness, that's power. It means you process the world on a deeper level. You notice things others overlook. And most importantly, you aren't dragged along by the noise. If that sounds like you, stick with me, because what comes next might just explain why you've always felt one step apart from the crowd. This is what separates Sigma males from the rest. They don't burn energy trying to impress the crowd. They conserve it, saving it for building, strategizing, and protecting themselves from the games people play. What most fail to realize is that Sigma intelligence isn't loud, but it's lethal. It comes from an ability to cut through distractions, decode human behavior, and create solutions others wouldn't even dream of. People fear what they can't control, and a mind like this is impossible to control. If this sounds like you, don't treat it as a curse. See it for what it is, a rare gift. Learn to use it with precision. And here's my challenge for you. As you hear the next part, think about one area of your life where this quiet intelligence could give you the edge. Stay patient with your journey. And make sure you stay with me until the end of this video, because what we're about to uncover will remind you just how powerful you really are. Number 1. They reverse engineer failures. Not just to avoid making the same mistake twice, but to fully understand the architecture of the collapse itself. Most people hate failure. They hide it, bury it, or pretend it never happened. But a Sigma male? He treats failure like a crime scene. He doesn't just slap on a bandage and move forward. He dissects the entire chain of events piece by piece, asking himself, where exactly did this break down? Most people treat failure like spilling coffee on a shirt. They just clean the stain, change clothes, and move on. The Sigma male is the one asking why the coffee spilled in the first place. Was the table wobbly? Was the cup off balance? Or were you so distracted that you filled it too high? He analyzes everything until the picture becomes crystal clear. This way of thinking is intimidating because it means he doesn't fear mistakes. He mines them for gold. While everyone else is licking their wounds, he's already figuring out how to build something smarter, stronger, and nearly unbreakable. Imagine someone who loses a business deal. Most people sulk or blame others, but the Sigma rewinds the entire situation in his mind. From the weak handshake at the start, to the subtle hesitation in his tone, to the tiny contract detail he missed, and even the overconfidence of the other side. By the end, he has a blueprint, a master plan for how to crush the next deal and make sure no one can exploit that same weakness again. That's what makes his intelligence terrifying. It's not just reactionary, it's forensic. He's not merely avoiding mistakes, he's predicting future collapses before they happen. And the most unsettling part? He does it silently. No bragging, no boasting. You only realize how sharp his mind is once you're already 3 steps behind. Failure is a classroom most people skip. The Sigma male attends every lesson, takes detailed notes, and walks out with answers no one else even knew existed. That's why his intelligence feels less like being smart and more like carrying a weapon that no one else can see coming. Number 2. They don't argue to win, they argue to reveal blind spots. Most people argue just to win. They want the last word, the applause, or the satisfaction of being right. The Sigma male? He isn't chasing validation. When he argues, it's with a sharper purpose, to expose the blind spots everyone else has been too afraid or too lazy to look at. Picture a group of friends arguing about whether money can buy happiness. One says yes, another says no, and they go around in circles. The Sigma male will throw out something like, "Maybe the real problem isn't money or happiness. Maybe it's that people confuse buying comfort with buying meaning." And suddenly silence. Not because he won, but because everyone just realized they never thought about it that way before. He doesn't need to raise his voice, logic does the heavy lifting. Sometimes he won't even make a statement. He'll just ask a piercing question like, "But what if the opposite is true?" And just like that, someone's entire argument starts to crumble like a cheap chair with a missing leg. The effect lingers. People walk away still thinking about what he said. Later in the shower, during a random commute, or while scrolling through their phone. That's the power of this kind of intelligence. It's not about winning. It's about forcing people to confront what they missed. Once he shines that light, you can never unsee it. And soon, you start questioning other things you've blindly accepted. That's the real effect of a Sigma male's intelligence. It doesn't leave you clapping for him. It leaves you rethinking yourself. Number 3. They adapt knowledge across fields. Most people keep their knowledge in boxes. Work knowledge here, personal knowledge there, hobbies over in that corner. The Sigma male? He doesn't believe in boxes. He sees hidden connections where others see separate compartments. He takes a concept from one field and applies it somewhere completely unexpected, and suddenly something ordinary turns groundbreaking. For example, most people cook by following recipes. A Sigma male might apply something he learned from working on engines, noticing that just as a machine needs the perfect ratio of oil and fuel, a perfect dish needs the exact balance of fat and acid. Now his steak comes out flawless every single time, not because he's a chef, but because he connected dots no one else saw. This cross-pollination of knowledge is what makes his intelligence unsettling. Imagine a man who studies chess strategies and then applies those patterns to negotiating business deals, or someone who reads about how trees survive droughts and uses the same survival principle to manage stress in life. While others are busy specializing in one narrow field, he's building a mental toolbox from everything he encounters. Talking to him can feel like facing a magician, except there's no magic, just relentless observation and the boldness to ask, "What if this works here too?" And the crazy thing? It often does. This unpredictability throws people off. You think you're just debating sports, and suddenly he's weaving in psychology, history, and biology in one seamless train of thought. You're left blinking like you just got hit with 3 plot twists back to back. The brilliance isn't that he knows everything. It's that he knows how to rearrange what he knows until it clicks. That ability is rare. It's powerful. And it's exactly why Sigma intelligence doesn't just feel impressive. It feels dangerous. Because it's not about collecting information. It's about weaponizing it in ways no one ever saw coming. Number 4. Unshaken by the crowd. Most people bend the moment the crowd leans one way. They nod, they smile, and they go along with it, even when something feels completely wrong, just to avoid being the odd one out. But a Sigma male? He doesn't play that game. He sees through collective thinking like clear glass. Group pressure doesn't bend him because his logic isn't built to keep him comfortable. It's built to keep him clear. Think about the simplest example. A group of friends deciding where to eat. Everyone says pizza. Half of them secretly hate the idea, but they go along anyway because it's easier than standing out. The Sigma male? He'll calmly drop, "Actually, pizza makes no sense, we just had it yesterday. Let's not pretend it magically tastes different today." Everyone laughs, but he just saved them from another bland meal. And this independence doesn't just show up in casual moments. It shows up in the places where it really matters. Picture a meeting at work where everyone is nodding along to a flashy plan that looks great on paper but has holes big enough to drive a truck through. Nobody wants to speak up. They're afraid of being difficult. But the Sigma male will lean in and say, "Hold on. If we push this plan, it collapses the second reality hits. Do we want applause now? Or results later?" Suddenly, the shiny idea doesn't look so shiny anymore. This is why Sigma intelligence feels intimidating, because comfort zones are built on collective agreement, and he refuses to rent a seat there. He won't nod just to keep the peace. He won't clap just because everyone else is clapping. He trusts his own reasoning more than he trusts the safety of numbers. What makes this even more unnerving is how he often does it with humor. He'll throw out one well-timed joke that cracks everyone up, but the truth under it lands so hard that nobody can go back to pretending they didn't hear it. And once that truth hits, it changes the way everyone in the room thinks. This is why Sigma intelligence unsettles people. It reminds them that going with the flow often means going nowhere. They call him stubborn, but in reality, he's just the one refusing to drown in shallow thinking. Number 5. They see the strings before anyone pulls them. Most people are easy to steer. A clever sales pitch, a smooth line, and they're reaching for their wallets before their brain has caught up. But the Sigma male? He stays calm and watches the strings being pulled. He doesn't just hear the words. He notices the hidden script behind them, the scarcity trick, the fake deadline, the compliment that's really a setup. He doesn't flinch. Imagine a salesman saying, "This is the very last one at this price." Most people panic and buy. A Sigma male smiles, asks 2 quiet questions, and finds out there are plenty left. And yes, the price can be negotiated. Now the salesperson looks confused, because they expected a quick yes, not a slow, calculated conversation. That confusion, that's the moment the Sigma gains the upper hand. And this isn't just suspicion for suspicion's sake. It's training. He notices patterns. He sees when compliments always arrive right before a request, when guilt trips are disguised as advice, and when fake urgency is used to rush his choice. And he stays calm because panic would ruin the observation. In relationships, this ability is just as sharp. Someone tries to steer him with guilt, charm, or pressure. He hears the tone, notices the timing, and pauses. Then he asks one simple question that flips the script and leaves the manipulator exposed. It's like turning the lights on during a stage play. Suddenly, everyone can see the wires and props. The whole performance looks cheap. And the unsettling part? He learns these triggers slowly, quietly, through books, observation, and tiny experiments. He's the guy who politely refuses, then later explains why the offer felt off, in a way that makes you wonder how you missed it yourself. This calm control makes him nearly impossible to manipulate, because when you can see the strings, you stop being the puppet. And once you start noticing them too, the world suddenly feels a lot less scary, and a lot more under your control. Number 6. They anticipate betrayal before it happens. Most people only spot betrayal after it smacks them in the face. The friend who stops calling, the coworker who throws them under the bus, the partner whose excuses start piling up. By then, it's too late. A Sigma male rarely gets caught like that. He sees the cracks long before the final break. Not because he's paranoid, but because he pays attention. Loyalty leaves a consistent trail over time. Disloyalty leaves tiny fractures. Maybe a friend never celebrates your wins, but always remembers your mistakes. Maybe a coworker nods in meetings, but smirks when you're not looking. Most people shrug these off. The Sigma male files them away like puzzle pieces. And when the picture is complete, he already knows exactly what's coming. Think about it. The person who laughs just a little too hard when you mess up? That's not harmless. That's a preview of how they'll act when real pressure hits. And a Sigma never ignores previews. By the time betrayal arrives, he's already built new boundaries, adjusted his expectations, or created an exit plan. That's why his calmness feels almost unfair. While others say, "I never saw it coming," he's already moved 3 steps ahead. It's not magic, it's disciplined observation. Because people reveal themselves every single day in the small details. and the Sigma male refuses to look away. Betrayal might shock everyone else, but for him, it's just the final act of a story he already read from the beginning. Number 7. They don't just have answers, they ask the questions that collapse yours. Most people think being smart means having endless answers, quick comebacks, clever facts, the perfect response. But a Sigma male knows the real power isn't in answers. It's in asking the question that makes your answer fall apart under its own weight. Picture a confident coworker presenting an idea with charts and flashy words. Everyone nods, impressed. Then the Sigma male raises one quiet question. What happens if the opposite is true? The room shifts. The confident idea starts to wobble. People look at each other, suddenly unsure. He's not trying to embarrass anyone. He's stress testing the foundation. If it's solid, it will stand. If it's weak, it will collapse with just one precise question. Here's a simple example. Someone claims money buys happiness. Most people argue yes or no. A Sigma male says, if that's true, why do billionaires need therapists? And just like that, the whole conversation flips on its head. This is why his intelligence feels so unnerving. He isn't filling the air with clever words. He's slicing through illusions with a scalpel. And his questions don't just challenge others in the moment. They stick with you. You think about them later, in the shower, on your commute, while you're trying to sleep, because once he cracks open your assumption, you can never put it back the same way again. That's the power of Sigma intelligence. It doesn't just give you answers, it forces you to rethink everything. That is why a Sigma male's intelligence feels so dangerous, because he doesn't just challenge what you believe, he challenges how you believe it. And when one of his questions makes your belief collapse under its own weight, rebuilding it the same way is impossible. Number 8. They carry their intellect like a hidden weapon. Most people who think they're smart make sure everyone knows it. They argue loudly, they flex their knowledge, they put it on display like a shiny trophy. But a Sigma male? He's the opposite. He carries his intellect like a concealed blade, silent, tucked away, almost invisible. And when he finally draws it, everyone realizes they were never safe to begin with. Imagine sitting in a meeting where everyone is tossing half-baked ideas on the table. The Sigma male stays quiet. He listens. He observes. People assume he has nothing to say. Then, just as the discussion reaches its peak, he drops one sharp, perfectly timed observation that cuts through the noise like glass shattering. The room goes silent. At first, that silence isn't respect. It's shock. It's the realization that he was 10 steps ahead of everyone the entire time. That's what makes his intelligence so unsettling. It isn't loud, it's precise. Think of someone carrying a pocket knife. You forget it's even there, until it's pulled out. Then you suddenly realize how vulnerable you always were. A Sigma male's mind works the same way. People underestimate him because he doesn't constantly wave his intelligence around like a flag. But when he finally speaks, the precision of his insight leaves everyone scrambling to catch up. And this is exactly why he never wastes time trying to prove himself. He knows that intellect isn't measured by how often you use it, but by how effectively you strike. One clean, well-aimed cut ends the fight faster than 1,000 wild swings. And here's the part most people learn the hard way. His silence was never weakness, it was aim. By the time his insight slices through the noise, everyone realizes they were never as safe as they thought. Number 9. They track hidden motives like hunters track footprints. Most people only hear the words being spoken. They take sentences at face value, nod politely, and move on. Not the Sigma male. He listens to what is said, what isn't said, and how it's wrapped. He notices the tone, the timing, the pauses that shouldn't be there. It's the difference between a casual walker and a skilled tracker. A hunter doesn't just look for paw prints in the mud. He notices the broken twig, the bent grass, the silence where there should be birdsong. Each clue seems small on its own, but together they tell the whole story. The Sigma male does this with people. Maybe someone says, I was just checking in. But their tone is sharper than their words. Maybe a coworker praises your idea, but slips in a suggestion that quietly makes them look better. Most people ignore these details. The Sigma male notices everything. That's what makes him so unsettling, because people sense that he's catching what they thought was hidden. He's not reading minds, but it often feels like he is. If someone tells a story and skips the most important detail, he files that away. If someone laughs at the wrong moment, he catches it. If someone's kindness only shows up when they need something, he mentally notes the timing like a hunter marking a trail. Here's an everyday example. Someone says, "I don't care about credit," while glancing around to see who's listening. Most people hear the words. The Sigma male catches the glance and instantly knows the real story. That's why conversations with him can feel like being under a spotlight. He's not interrogating you. He's just tuned into the details most people are blind to. And once you start noticing the footprints he sees, you'll never be able to hear people the same way again. Number 10. They treat information like currency. Most people treat information like small talk. They spill it without thinking, share secrets too easily, or brag about what they know just to feel important. A Sigma male plays a completely different game. He treats information like money. He knows when to spend it, when to save it, and when necessary, when to turn it into a weapon. Picture the coworker who blurts out every idea the second it pops into their head. At first, it looks confident, but soon their ideas get stolen, dismissed, or ignored because they never understood timing. The Sigma male stays quiet, lets everyone talk themselves in circles, then strikes at the perfect moment with one sharp insight that changes the entire direction of the room. That's spending information wisely. He also knows the value of saving it. He never reveals everything he knows at once. If someone pries too hard, he gives them just enough to satisfy their curiosity, never enough to expose the full picture. This isn't secrecy for secrecy's sake. It's strategy. And then there's the part people never see coming: weaponizing information. If someone tries to manipulate him, he already has mental notes. Things they said, things they hid, things they thought he didn't notice. At the right moment, he can drop that information like a hammer. Not out of pettiness, but to shut down games before they get out of hand. This is why his intelligence feels terrifying, because it's not chaotic. It's calculated. Every fact has weight. Every word has timing. Every move has purpose. Talking to him can feel like sitting across from someone who has already done the math before you even knew there was an equation. The sharpest minds are the quietest weapons. That's the perfect way to describe the Sigma male. His intelligence isn't terrifying because he shouts it from the rooftops. It's terrifying because it works silently underneath everything, in ways you can't predict or control. He sees what others miss, asks the questions no one dares to ask, and thinks with a clarity most people spend their whole lives avoiding. That's why he's so often underestimated, until people realize he was 10 steps ahead the entire time. If you recognize yourself in these traits, hear this clearly: you are not difficult. You are not broken. You are not strange. You're simply operating on a different frequency. The things that make others uneasy about you are the exact things that make you powerful. Your ability to cut through lies, spot patterns before they even unfold, and think independently is not a curse. It's your greatest gift. Yes, it can feel isolating sometimes, but that's the price you pay for clarity. Not everyone is meant to see the world as sharply as you do. While others get lost in illusions, you carry the weight and the strength of truth. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when it costs you company. So don't dim that gift. Hone it, sharpen it like a blade, because your intelligence isn't just about surviving this world. It's about decoding it, bending it, and mastering it. And if you're ready to take this further, to truly grasp why Sigma intelligence is one of the most intimidating forces you can wield, this is your moment to act. Hit that like button, subscribe to Epic Persona, and tell me in the comments, what's the biggest truth you've learned that most people still can't see? Because what's coming next isn't just about why Sigma intelligence is feared. It's about why fully embracing it might be the smartest, most life-changing decision you'll ever make.